All right, what's going on, everyone? Dr. Todd from the MoveNow Chiropractor. Happy New Year. It's January of 2023, and this is episode 291 of the MoveNow Chiropractor. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. All right, we just had a holiday, and we took a week off or so of making podcasts, so this is my first one back, and very soon I reorganized our home setup a little bit here as far as the podcast studio. We'll have some guests. We'll do a full-fledged episode. But in the meantime, I wanted to get something out there. And so I had a question from one of our MoveNow members. Now, side note, we have close to 200 clinics that we work with at this point, and we get messages. When I say we, between myself and Danny, who is our office manager, our doctor support for MoveNow, she's talking to chiropractors all the time. But we use Marco Polo, which is like a video phone app, where someone can send a video and they can send a message over, ask a question, get it out there quickly. That's something that we provide for our MoveNow members. So that's a great part about being a member is you can send a video and you'll get a response. I decided in this case, instead of to send a response back to this doctor, I wanted to make an episode dedicated to it. So what I'm going to talk about is really in response to his question, and his question applies to any healthcare provider on the planet. I mean, obviously we're talking about chiropractors. His question was something to the extent of, hey, do you have a problem with you give recommendations to a patient, they get up to the front desk and then they don't schedule. They don't schedule the appointments. They have objections that they give out at the front desk. The front desk doesn't handle it. Or he's asking me, like, is your front desk in charge of getting the patients on the schedule? Is that their job? What happens if they're not very good at it? And so that question he had really deserves a deeper response. So I just wanted to address that, respond to that. So we're going to get rolling. I'm going to roll the intro real quick. You're going to listen to this if you never heard it before. And this is the MoveNow Chiropractor, so check it out. Here's what so many chiropractors have been searching for. How can we expand our clinical reach by finally addressing more than just the segmental component with our patients, but at the same time, not feel like we are selling out our chiropractic principles? The reality is our patients count on us to guide them. And when it comes to results, we must also address their posture and their movement. The verdict is out. Patients have spoken, and this is what they want and what they need, focusing on functional movement and corrective exercise. So how do we practice in a way where our community is engaged, excited, and seeking us out because of this comprehensive, results-based approach? That's the goal we've all been searching for, and this podcast will show you how. My name is Dr. Todd Pickman, and welcome to the MoveNow Chiropractor. All right, so here we are. So here's his question. His question is, what happens when patients aren't scheduling and whatnot? So let's back up a second here. First off, patients shouldn't show up to the front desk, and it should not be the front desk's job to convince someone of anything, to sell them on anything. Quote, I'll put little air quotes around the word sell, because sell is this word that has this negative connotation. Although everything we do in life is selling, it's really not a bad word. It's it's a process of delivering goods or services for someone else's money, right? Money is just a exchange product for value. So if you have something that's valuable, hopefully what you are offering, what you are giving exceeds the value in which that physical money holds, right? So that the patient feels like this is a great exchange. This is a good deal for me. This is a no-brainer. I'm getting way more value, way more benefit out of this money that I'm parting with. Now, that should not be the front desk job. The front desk job is to mechanically go through the process of collecting and to be good at handling little objections if they happen up there, but there's a very strategic way for them to do so. But prior to a patient ever going to the front desk, you should make sure that the patient is qualified to go to the front desk, meaning don't set your front desk up for failure. Make sure that this person who is going to the front desk to check out, that you've pulled out every objection possible, you've handled every single scenario you could think of, so that all your front desk has to do is basically just say, all right, looks like Dr. Todd said that we're going to be doing X, Y, and Z. I'll go ahead and take care of that for you today. How would you like to do that? How would you like to handle that? Like if it's a payment, how would you like to handle that? Is that something that you'd like to pay for on credit card, check? How would you like to handle that? Just very easy. Not asking yes or no questions. Would you like to make a payment today? No, I wouldn't. Okay. I mean, don't ask a question that you don't want a no answer to, right? Like just don't ask a yes or no question. Ask a yes or yes question. How would you like to take care of that today? Oh, hey, I just got a message from Dr. Todd. He said that you guys went over care recommendations. Let's go ahead and get that scheduled for you right now. What's your schedule look like for the next couple of weeks? Which days work best for you? Looks like we're having you come in 3 times per week. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday are typically the best combination that way with that we offer here in office. How does that sound for you? How do you feel about that? How does that work with your schedule? Just those types of things is what the front desk should do, is work out the mechanics of stuff. What we as the doctor should do is run through all the hard objections, all the hard things, because people are not committing to care or not wanting to do care because either they don't value the care, they don't trust what you've offered up for them, right? They don't trust you. There's something that you've done to break that trust and rapport, or they don't trust themselves and be able to follow through the recommendations that you're offering up. Sometimes you have to actually go through that deep dive to see is that they don't trust themselves, and, talk through that, address that, help them see how this program, as far as what we're offering, has so many different resources that it makes it difficult for someone to fail if they're not just willing to show up for an appointment and just go through the steps and start to develop that habit. Because that's essentially what we're doing. Inside of our clinic, inside of MoveNow University, we teach this transformational process that we take a patient through when we're doing corrective care with functional movement, curve correction. It's called the 12-week transformation. Why did I name it that? Well, I named it that because I want people mentally to think about this as a transformation, kind of like, why are gyms so successful in these 12-week, body transformation things that they do? Well, it's because it gives people excitement. It gives them a goal. It gives them something to strive for. There's competition involved. There's, other peers alongside them going through it as well. Camaraderie, like a tribe type of mentality, have them become part of your tribe in your clinic. So that means that your clinic's got to be cool. It's got to be something that they want to be part of. It can't be something where they're like, ugh, I don't want to do that, right? So bird's eye view as far as looking at this, to address the question that this doctor of ours had. This doctor in particular, I'm not certain how far he's gotten into implementing these systems that we teach. Like, for example, we have some doctors that come on board with MoveNow and they are already just on board, like pretty much set up, meaning they have an exercise spot in their clinic. They don't really know what to do protocol wise, but they have the space. They have some staff. They have an x-ray machine. They have good systems, technology, all that stuff. And it's just a matter of putting it all in place, training on it, and going. We have some doctors that in 12 weeks, they're fully implemented. We have other doctors, like, they join. We hardly ever even talk to them. They don't reach out to us. They go through all the stuff on their own. And 6 months later, they hit us up and they're like, oh yeah, I'm fully doing everything. I've been following it. It's a great program. I just had a couple questions here and there, and they're doing it fully self-guided. We have other doctors that it's a massive change. They don't have x-ray in office. They have a small office. They don't have the space. They've operated with 1 or 2 staff. They've done just an adjustment only style clinic since they've opened. They've only been in practice for a couple of years. They're still working on communication with, being perceived as a leader in front of their patients, like lots of self-improvement stuff that they're also working on. And no matter where you're at in that process, that's where we try to meet you at so we can help you get through it and help you improve and get out on the other side successfully, right? So in this case, again, I keep saying I'm going to go to like bird's eye view and back up and talk about this. Following the systems. So my question to you, MoveNow Doctor, who sent me a Marco Polo, is what's your day 1, day 2 look like? Okay, so if you're asking me, hey, front desk, is it their job to schedule someone out and to do all this sort of thing and convince them and handle those objections because the patients go up there and maybe give an objection that they don't give me back in the room? Well, what's your day 1, day 2 look like? Day 1, there's a very specific way that we go through day 1. We do a consultation. We gather a health history. We try to see everything that's going on with a patient. We ask them what they've done in the past. We try to get an idea of how this is affecting their life. So it's not just low back pain, but what things are you unable to do because you're low back pain? How is this affecting your life? I want to better understand how this affects you. And the reason that we're doing that is so we can better understand our patient in front of us, but also too, so that if they start to make a thought error and they say, oh, I don't have time, or your clinic's too far away, or whatever, but they just got done telling you how they can't play with their kids, they can't be a good, spouse, like they feel like they're failing as a wife, they have too much pain to help out at home and cook or something. So like whatever it is, that they feel like they're lacking in, that's the reason that they're in your clinic. And they need to be reminded of that at times, because they may come in, have a pretty significant problem going on. You've identified it. You've showed there's all kinds of structural and functional things going on with their spine. Now, if we work on them 1 or 2 or 3 times, it's kind of the good and the bad of chiropractic. You might get a good amount of pain relief, symptom relief. They feel better. All right. But if someone has this underlying issue that they've had for years and years and years, massive structural things going on, super dysfunctional, can't bend over and touch their toes, thoracic mobility shot, hip mobility shot, core doesn't engage at all, they're weak, they don't exercise, like all those things, how much good is 3 visits really going to do for them as far as impacting their life? How much stay put value is there going to be in those 3 adjustments that you did? Probably not a lot. You'll make them feel a little bit better. A month later, if they last that long, their pain and symptoms will come right back and they'll say, oh, I tried chiropractic, it didn't work. So then I'm going to go to a physical therapist now. And the physical therapist shows them some super basic exercises that might actually give them a little more stability. Now the person's feeling better longer. The physical therapist is bad-mouthing you as the chiropractor, saying, oh yeah, because all you were doing was adjusting. They weren't addressing any of these, long-term issues, which us as chiropractors can address all of that and have a very well-rounded approach, right? And so now that patient sees the physical therapist as the hero, and the physical therapist tells them, oh, it's going to take, at least 12 weeks of seeing you doing exercise. And then even after that, you have to maintain and follow up these exercises, and you have to build up strength. And until you build up that strength and that glute activation and all of that, you're going to continuously have this issue. We're going to teach you how to move properly, how to avoid, things that are hurting you. And now that patient thinks, oh my gosh, yeah, I guess this isn't going to be an overnight fix. Whereas in your clinic, they felt like 3 visits, they should be fixed and feel better because that's what you portrayed upon them. That's where there was a failure in communication. That's where you didn't set expectations properly. That's where they didn't understand their condition fully because you never explained it to them. Maybe you never even discovered their condition fully. So are you taking x-rays? Do you even know what to do with x-rays when you take them? Do you know how to analyze x-rays? And some doctors out there legitimately don't. And if they don't, it's too bad. It's too bad that you weren't exposed to an x-ray heavy type of chiropractic technique in chiropractic school. I'm lucky I got into Gonstead, and then about 8-9 years into practice, got into chiropractic biophysics. So x-ray is our forte. I mean, I wouldn't know how to really practice all that well without x-ray. Yeah, I can do functional movement assessments, and I can definitely do physical hands-on exam, which is a massive part of Gonstead and functional movement, is being able to do, physical exams, because you don't find the problem on the x-ray, you find it on the patient, but the x-ray shows you how to fix it, shows you how long the problem's been there, helps the patient connect and understand there is actually a problem, helps set goals as far as changing some of these things, or at least preventing them from getting worse. So x-ray is super important. So in this case with this doctor, the question would be, are you taking x-rays on the patient? This particular doctor, I know for a fact he doesn't have x-ray in-house. We talked about him referring out. That's another option. Even if you don't have x-ray in-house, you can refer out to an x-ray center. You can build a relationship with an x-ray center. You can even make up a little form that makes it super easy for that person to go to the x-ray center. Oh, that x-ray center doesn't take appointments. They're just walk-in only. Sometimes they're busy. Sometimes they're not. I recommend patients go get their x-rays, but they don't. Well, there's methods around that. You have a little slip. You start with your patient on day 1. You say, okay, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and have you scheduled at a time to go get your x-rays taken. It's going to be, let's see, what's your schedule like tomorrow morning? I don't know. How about 9:30? Is that right? Okay, I'm going to write that down, 9:30. Now, mind you, that x-ray place may not even take appointments. Doesn't matter. The patient knows that you just put a time aside that you expect them to go and get this done. So Is it a little bit disingenuous in that the x-ray place doesn't really have an appointment book? Slightly, but it's so that you can hold the patient accountable, motivate them, get them to follow through for their best interest so they can actually get an x-ray done, so they don't put it off for a week or 2 weeks. You explain the importance of needing to see the x-ray and analyze the x-ray and figure out what's going on. I'll backtrack a second. If you're one of those chiropractors that never had any x-ray training, I'm biased, but I would say go to a Gonstead seminar. I like Gonstead Methodology Institute. It's gonstead.com. You can find those seminars. They go through tons of great x-ray analysis and really explain it in detail to give you an appreciation of how a chiropractor looks at an x-ray. Not a medical doctor, not a radiologist, a chiropractor. There's a different way that we look at an x-ray. Okay. Chiropractic biophysics. You can go to those seminars. They actually have them right here in Eagle, Idaho. I live in Eagle, Idaho. Our clinic's in Meridian. You can come swing by and visit our clinic when you're in town for a chiropractic biophysics seminar, learning about, CBP. You can go to the CBP website, and you can actually take their seminars online now and even get CEU credits for it. Okay. And you can take one of their classes there if you don't want to travel out here. I'd recommend doing that. Take one of their basic ones so you can learn about x-ray and x-ray analysis and how they look at this stuff. Okay. So anyway, with this doctor, he's not doing x-ray stuff. I'm guessing he's not doing it with the majority of these patients that are having these objections at the front desk. 2, on day 2, which is the BROF, the brief report of findings. Day 2 is when you go through the x-ray findings with the patient. You go through their exam findings. You go through what they told you on their consultation history, those things that they can't do in their life, their activities of daily living. You link that back to the findings. You help them piece it together so they can connect the dots and see, oh, that bad joint in my low back, the dysfunction and swelling on exam, the tenderness, the inability to bend forward and touch my toes without pain, all of that relates back to multiple years in the making of this problem that I'm presenting to you with on this day. And in my mind, maybe I came in with the expectation it's going to be 1 or 2 visits and all my problems are going to be fixed. And you just transformed my thinking. You enlightened me. You educated me. The word doctor means teacher. You taught me what I need to do to actually get to the root cause of this problem and fix it. Chiropractors are doctors of cause, right? We're looking for root cause. We're not just looking for treating symptoms. So that needs to be done on day 2 now. Day 2, we're going to go through their x-rays with them, their findings. And then a very important thing is once we've laid this out, we've explained it, and all this training is inside of our portal in detail. I put videos together of how I've done this with patients. I now do these through Zoom. I do them all virtually online. I did one this morning at 7 a.m. actually. So I do them from home before I go into the clinic. I recommend you do that as well. Virtual appointments are the future. They're awesome. We have training on that. We're putting together a full-blown program on that too, to really try to attract all chiropractors to get them interested in our systems and see how our brains work, because we think most people will resonate with it and say, wow, they came up with some really good ideas. Wonder how they do the recalls. Wonder how they do, patient retention. I wonder how they do whatever, because all of our stuff I think is solid. So where was I at? Oh yeah. So then what we do is once we go through that with them, then asking a powerful question. Okay. How do you feel about all this information I just went through with you? How do you feel about seeing this proof that this is not a brand new issue? Again, what have you done in the past? How's that worked out for you? You told me when I first met with you that you were ready to make some major changes in your life, that you were sick of how this is affecting you. You were sick of the fact that you couldn't play with your kids and feel like you're failing as a wife and blah, 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 like all these things. You told me in office 2 days ago that you were ready to get this fixed. Is that still the case today? Okay. You sounded like you had some pretty strong conviction a couple days ago. I'm only asking you because to get this fixed is not just me and my team working on you when you come in. It's you actually taking responsibility, taking control of your own health. We will be the coach. We will be the guide. We will teach you what to do, but you need to be able to execute when we're not looking. There's some home care that you're going to be doing, some exercises, some home traction, for example. Those are things that you're going to do. So just before we start this relationship, I want to make sure this is a good relationship. It's successful. I don't want to get into this if it's going to be a failure. So I want to make sure that this is a good time for you to start addressing this stuff once and for all. What makes now different than 3 years ago when you said you were jumping chiropractor to chiropractor? So to my doctor who sent me the Marco Polo, these are just, you don't have to go into this depth with every single person, but you got to feel the person in front of you and understand where they're at and be able to know, do I need to dive that deep? Do I not need to dive that deep? Be able to connect with them. And this is just a honest, open form of communication from human to human. And a lot of us get into chiropractic and we've never learned that communication. We don't know how to do that with our family, with our spouse, with our friends. We're still learning how to not be like awkward in communication because no one ever taught us how. And now we're a business owner, we're a chiropractor, we're a doctor, we're a healer, and we're supposed to do this with the general public. You need to master this stuff. You need to practice this stuff. And if you feel like you're awkward about things, stop being awkward. Figure out how to get out of it. Okay. Because that's what's going to stop you from being able to connect with someone and then them having the opportunity to transform their life. So get over it, get better at it. There's lots of good books. There's lots of good training. There's lots of resources. We've recommended many of these resources. We are one of the resources, right? Okay. So then with a patient, you say, okay, well, how do you feel about this? And then you say, well, there's a couple options you can do. One is you can do some short-term care. We can work on you a couple of times. Not going to get to the root cause of the problem that way. I just showed you all the stuff going on. I'm sure that you would agree it would be unreasonable to think that in 2 or 3 visits, we're going to actually fix this stuff or address this stuff in depth, right? You can see that, right? Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so how we've done this with our patients, this is a tried and tested system, is that if you want to go the corrective route and have us take you through a corrective process and then teach you what you need to do for the rest of your life, so you can look back at this and say, this was the fork in the road of where I changed my life. And when you're 10 years, 20 years, 30 years in the future from now, you're still doing some of these things that we taught you here in the clinic. If you want to go down that path, that's very different than coming in 2 or 3 visits, as I'm sure you can understand, right? Okay, so that path, we initially see over a 12-week period. We see you X number of visits. We do X, Y, and Z. And then we remeasure, we set goals, and we get to a point at 12 weeks where we can look back and we can say, okay, what things responded well? What things need more attention? How is your body progressing? That is the most honest and fair way to manage anyone's care. Okay. I'm not promising something huge. I am promising we're going to teach you a ton of stuff and you are going to get results. What level of results? It's usually, equates to how severe your condition is, how long you've been like that, your age, how engaged you are, the quality of your spine, which is kind of back to age, but not really. It's more of like, how long has the problem been there for? Because age in and of itself doesn't mean you have a bad spine. You had an injury and you let time accrue on top of that injury, which sometimes people think is age, but not necessarily. And then your spine is in bad shape. It might be slower to pull you back. How engaged are you? How ready are you to follow these recommendations and this guidance that we're going to teach you? So once that conversation happens, then it's okay. It's day 2. Then it's okay. What we need to do is get you in, and how we do it is on day 2. That's before we do a movement assessment. Next visit's a movement assessment. That's the last piece of the analysis before we have what we need gathered initially to be able to even create a care recommendation, or what's called a recommendation card. It's a card that we put together. Again, it's a process inside of MoveNow University. We create the rec card. We put together all the projections so the patient knows how it's going to work schedule-wise, payment-wise, all of that. And then we can go through that with the patient on the next visit on day 3. Again, I do that virtually. I do it via Zoom so that I don't have to waste time in the clinic do it. I do it outside the clinic, early in the morning, in the afternoon. I do it at a more convenient time, a time when their spouse can be there. I record it on Zoom. We send them the recording link. We make sure that their spouse watches this so that if they have any questions or concerns or objections that the spouse has, we can address that so that they can look at this as a team effort and they can both be on board. Okay. So all that happens, we go through it with them now on day 3. We go through, okay, here's how it works. Here's the timeline. Here's how it works, whether it's health insurance or not health insurance or self-pay or whatever, or insurance pays part of it and then self-pay on the second half of it. We work all that out. We get all the variables out of the way. Okay, great. On your next visit, when you come in clinic, this is how I'd be saying this if I'm doing it virtually at home, computer-wise. I'm going to see you tomorrow. You're going to come in for an adjustment. We're going to get you started. We're going to show you your home care. We're going to teach you how to use it. We're going to start teaching these exercises, give you access to what's called the 12-week transformation. You'll get a little booklet, which is essentially a home manual, okay, or home journal, so you can journal progress. Very important. We'll get into that and show you this. It's really exciting. It's awesome. You're going to love this system. And we'll see you on your next visit. We'll get you started for that. And then today I went through some different payment options as well. If you can look that over and, and then sometimes even right then, as you're going through payment options with someone, you say, do you feel like one of those options will work for you? Why do you say that? Because you're trying to pull out objections. You're trying to see if they don't want to say something like, oh man, I can't afford it, or I don't want to do that. You want them to tell you that so you can figure out a solution for them and make it doable. Okay. It's not a trick. It's not manipulation. It's just clear communication, but you say it in a gentle way. It's not like, which payment option do you want to do? It's like, do you feel like one of these options will work for you? Yeah, I feel like this. Okay, great. No, I really can't. Okay. Well, something we can do is try to work something out that will meet your financial constraints, your budget, whatever. And then, you start asking questions as far as what they can afford, what they're thinking, that sort of thing. And you work something out so you can get it going. Because ultimately, and this is what I tell patients at times when it comes up, but this is how I feel about it. This is how I'd recommend you feel about it. If someone has the desire, you can find a way. You can find a way to figure out timing on the schedule. You can find a way to figure out a payment option. If they have a desire, there's a way. If there's no desire for them to go through and do this, they'll never find a way. They'll never find time. They'll never find money, resources, whatever, because it's not a priority. So you have to get to that and get them to actually go through that mental process themselves, right? So all that happens before they get up to the front desk. Then when the front desk is there, the front desk is just saying like, hey, this is exciting. You're getting started here. That's awesome. So Dr. Todd's laid out recommendations for you. What we found is our most successful patients schedule these visits out ahead of time as much as possible in the future. Looks like we're going to see you twice a week for the majority of this. Typically, we'd see someone on a Monday, Wednesday, or Monday, Thursday. What times work best for you? We're here at this time, this time, this time, this time. What we'll do is, here's a little form. If you can just check out which days that you'd like. What I'll do is I'll go through and I'm going to go through the calendar and I'm going to pluck through all these dates for the next 12 weeks, next 3 months. I'm going to map this all out. I'll give that to you. I'll print that out for you. And then if you can cross-reference that with your calendar, see if you have any trips or meetings or anything where you need to move any of them. And you just let me know and you can mark that up if you need to, or you can do it right now. And on your next visit, we'll get your schedule completely dialed in. But I'd like to pre-schedule you out so that when you come into the office, you don't have to worry about finding a future appointment for yourself. But it's just dialed in. It's ready to go. And then payment option wise, there's a couple different payment options, A or B. Which one works best for you? Let's go ahead and take care of that too. So when you come into the office, again, scheduling, payment, all that sort of thing, you don't even have to stop at the front desk. Our job will be smile, wave. If you have any new questions or anything, we can handle that for you. But when you come into the clinic, you can get to work and we can focus on your health and we don't have to worry about this other stuff. Cool? Sound good? So anyway. All right. I think I went through that in enough detail, hopefully. That's why I didn't want to respond on Marco Polo to this, because I felt like this deserved a much deeper conversation as to why are patients going up to the front desk and the staff struggling to be able to get them on the schedule. Because none of this foundation was built. None of these things happened beforehand. And so you're sending a completely unqualified patient up to the front for a staff person that's not what they're supposed to be doing. That's not their job, okay? The patient has to go through an experience and a process, and then the front desk is simply going through the mechanics. If they need to handle a little objection here and there, absolutely, they should be able to do that. The front desk needs to understand this process. They need to go through this process with you so they know what the patient is experiencing. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. Please feel free, however you're watching this, whether it's a YouTube video or a podcast, reach out, comment below. Let us know what you think. If it's YouTube, subscribe, like, comment, do all that stuff. Podcast, you can share it. I think you can comment on that as well. Reach out to us on Facebook, via email. We have all of our contact information out there. We'd love to hear from you. If there's something else you want to hear me cover, let me know and I'd be happy to cover it. I absolutely don't know everything. Okay. I don't know everything about chiropractic technique, exercise, case management, clinical. I feel like I know a lot and I'm very confident in that. I've practiced very close to 20 years now, but I'll tell you, our systems are dialed in. The way we practice, it works. It's tried and tested. We've done this. We've done this with other clinics as well. It works. It works very well. Why does it work? Because it's solid, it's honest, it's truthful, it's legit, it's genuine. That's why it works. It's not a script. It's not a pitch. It's not a manipulation. All right. So that's it. Anyway, Dr. Todd signing out. Check out our outro. You can watch a 30-minute pre-recorded demo that we have at demo.movenowu.com. It'll be in the outro. You can hear it as well. So you can see behind the scenes what our portal looks like as far as how we deliver this training material to our MoveNow doctors. And you can get a book that I wrote a couple years ago too called Move Well Secrets. And that's at book.movenowu.com. So you can grab that as well. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next one. Want more MoveNow secrets? If so, then go get your copy of my best-selling book and watch my 30-minute behind-the-scenes MoveNow demo. My book is called Move Well Secrets, and you can get your free copy at book.movenowu.com. And watch the 30-minute demo of our exclusive doctor training portal at demo.movenowu.com. With these two resources, you'll find my top 22 secrets that we've used to build one of the smoothest running, results producing, and super profitable exercise departments within a chiropractic clinic in the entire profession.